Yeah, actually, Joy, the gentleman from EDC, he sent yesterday a reference to the document that has recommendation to design how to design your international trade contract. Mm-hmm.
Then that's what I, so just because I haven't signed a contract, does that mean that we're not bound, or is that?
It depends on the country. We're going to talk later about it in detail, but I can't actually do it now. The legislation is different from country to country. In Canada and United States, the emails and the text messages, they have legal power. Say if somebody sent you an email with the quote and you emailed back and you said yes, I accept it, then you are bound. But in many countries, this any electronic communication is not considered as legal. It doesn't have legal power. Typically in North America, in Canada and the States, our legislation is more or less similar in this case. Electronic messages have the legal power. In many other countries, unfortunately, only original documents with original signatures have legal power. Okay, now let's continue with Incoterms. So those are only first seven terms. By the way, the terms that start with D, they are applicable to you if you sell directly to the consumers and using, say, online or postal services. You sell, say, you sell online or you sell through the catalogs, and or you send the samples to your customers. Then the D terms are yours. So you arrange the transportation and everything until the package reaches the customer. In this case, you may also, you may or may not be responsible for paying duties in the export market. But there are terms. There's a term, the last one, delivery duty paid. In this case, if you take this term, if you choose this term, then you are also responsible for paying the duty rate upfront. Practically, it's very difficult to follow this rule. So typically, for anything that goes by post, it's DAP, delivered at place. So the package is delivered to the customer's door, and the customer pays the duty. But in some cases, this one is also possible. Delivered duty paid. Delivered duty paid. It's very little. There's very little difference. Delivered at place, it means the final place of destination, and terminal may be the place, any place in between. So let's say you ship the package to the warehouse in the States, in the specific warehouse, and the customer then comes to the warehouse and takes the product and ships it. This stage is the carriage. So there's some responsibility on your end and some responsibility on customer's end. What else is important? It's very important what says in the brackets. Some terms say named place of delivery. Some terms say named place of destination. In this case, we have a terminal, but this is just one of the one exception here. So, what's named place of delivery? I know it's confusing, but you just have to trust. Named place of delivery, it means your address, or your warehouse's address, or the place from where you are shipping the product. According to Incoterms, this place must be specify it as detailed as possible, including postal code, unit number, or whatever other indication. Named place of destination is the address of your buyer. Again, as detailed as possible.
So the name, place of delivery, what if it was packaged in one place, one of your locations, but it was shipped out of a warehouse?
Yeah, again, it depends on the term. So the packaging is your end. Here you just put here the place where the product will be picked up. Yeah, because that's right. Because your buyer doesn't care where it was packaged. Okay. Similar case if you have, say, multiple production facilities and your product travel from one facility to the other. You only put here the warehouse or the most recent place where the product can be picked up.
Because we've had it before where our office is in a different location than our warehouse, and all the paperwork has our office address on it. I'm wondering if that's wrong then.
Depending on what kind of paperwork, well, obviously if you have an invoice, then invoice has the address of your office. But if you quote price on Incoterms, then it should have the address of your warehouse. Yes.
So on price sheets, when you're selling to like a warehouse or safe, right? See, or even going up forms, I've never really seen a lot of this. It's usually either delivered or pick up. It's the terms that they use on their
Right.
forms. So on your price list that you present to a buyer, I think the most common terms is either pickup or delivery.
Yeah.
FOB, is that not like, I mean.
FOB, we'll get to FOB just in a second. You know, yeah, that's, I hear you, I know that for a fact, and that's a huge problem. Because again, people in North America, they are accustomed to those terms that they traditionally use on a day-to-day basis. But those rules have nothing to do with the proper terms, and the only proper framework is Incoterms. So when the dispute happens, the judge would look into the Incoterms, and they would look into your North American terms, quote unquote, and then they will try to match those rules with Incoterms. So then the rest of the dispute will be about the Incoterms.
So on a price list, at the bottom or however
Yeah.
price lists are, do you use the common
Yeah.
term that people use or the
We always recommend using this one, and if your customer has questions, please educate them about Incoterms. Important remark though, if you're selling within Canada, it doesn't apply. So Incoterms only applies for international transactions. But again, just keep in mind that the United States is the export market, is the other country, so the trade between Canada and States is regulated by Incoterms. Now, going back to FOB, your comment, it's actually very good that you brought it right now, because this edition of Incoterms, as you see, it has 7 terms for any mode of transport. So it can be air, ocean, combination of many different modes of transport, and it has special 4 special rules that are about inland or sea transport only. Inland waterway or sea transport only. Now, the reason why they allocated 4 terms specifically to those is actually because FOB was misused a lot in the international trade. So in this edition of Incoterms, you can only use FOB term, and or CIF was also very much used in the past. So you can only use them if the place of risk transfer is the port. So you cannot, in this edition of Incoterms, you cannot use the term that says FOB Calgary. Or you cannot use FOB Calgary International Airport. Because you can only do that if the point of risk transfer is the port.
After shipping.
After shipping, correct. So in our example, in your example, probably you may use probably FOB Port of Vancouver or Port of Prince Rupert, but you cannot use FOB Calgary, or you cannot use FOB term in relation to transportation by truck.
So basically you can't use it for a pickup location, that's what you're saying?
No, you can't.
Okay.
You can't. And this is unfortunately this is there is a lot of misunderstanding of this information. People in North America, they still use FOB term, FOB, let's say Calgary, Edmonton, whatever.
That's all I see is FOB.
Yeah, that's all we do, like anytime we do a producer contract, if
Yeah.
we take down and spot their yard.
Right, right. But again, if you deal with, say, Canadian suppliers, that's fine. Again, it doesn't apply to Canadian suppliers. But if you are dealing with the States or any other country, then FOB is this FOB. It's not the other FOB that the people in North America are used to.
Well, what happens if they do the other FOB to you? How do you know what FOB it is?
That's actually a very big problem.
It is.
Because
So
because if you use
open up a can of worms if it's FOB. and then
yeah, because
you
see
know, like-
exactly, because see, if you are shipping from Calgary to, let's say, Dallas by truck, and you use FOB Calgary, your warehouse in Calgary, then if the dispute happens, the judge will look at it and say, no, like FOB, you cannot use FOB from Calgary. Then what's going to happen? The judge will reinterpret your contract and will say that, well, probably this was probably either FCA term, or if you arrange the transportation, it was probably CIP term. But there's a key difference though, and that's where a lot of disputes may come, because in this case you are not responsible for the product when it's transported, and in this case, actually no, in this case you also are not responsible, so you're good. But there's a lot of misinterpretation of terms that are acceptable in North America versus Incoterms.
Sorry, did you say that FOB you're not responsible for the transportation?
You only to the port.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
but you are responsible to
Yeah.
the port.
To the port, yeah.
And when you were talking about the DAP and the DAT,
Mhm.
you were talking about, and I don't know if I just misunderstood it, but you were saying about, when they were talking about picking up at their terminal. But when it's DAT or DAP,
Mhm.
that is delivered to
Export market.
export market
Mhm.
terminal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And those are only about ports. So there are also there may be ports though in Canada, and those are two F terms. Those two. Those C terms, they are about the port in the country of destination. Say CIF port of Shanghai.
So if I was, say, shipping something, say for instance out of Calgary
Mm-hmm.
to go ocean, I could, and they were responsible, say, for shipping, so then I would use FAS because they would be picking it up, right?
In the port?
Well, like FAS
Mhm.
shows that I'm not responsible for loading, right?
Right, you're not responsible for loading to the ship.
Right.
Yeah, but you are still responsible for loading to the truck and the transportation. If for everything that happens when the truck goes from Calgary to, let's say, Port of Vancouver. And that's why again those terms may only be applicable if there's, say, if there's only one mode of transport, and it's the ocean.
Like there's some ocean freight that is quoted, say, out of Calgary. And so the ocean carrier is actually looking after carriage from Calgary, say,
Yeah.
overseas.
Yeah, if that's the case, then it's it's FCA term. And Incoterms actually recommends that if there are multiple modes of transport involved, if there's an inland location, to use FCA instead of FOB.
In case of airport, it will be DAT or?
Which airport? If you are
Okay, you send something by air.
by air, it depends on to what extent you are paying. Let's say if you are paying for the air freight, then it's either CPT or CIP. If you don't pay for air freight, if you just like, deliver it to the airport, then it's FCA.
So, like in some cases, like in WA, they move a lot of special crops and stuff, and so, you know, containers are coming, say, from the prairies to the terminal in Calgary. So if there was a product where, in some cases, some people are doing some of the shipping where they're bringing the container to Calgary, but then so the point of loading is actually on the prairie somewhere. It's being delivered to Calgary. Ocean freight is taking it from Calgary, but you know, FCA is saying that you were just saying that FCA would be that they're doing the loading, but it's already been loaded and it's already been transported part way.
So how do you feel it here? Who feel it here?
Well, in some cases, like there's special crop cleaning facilities where they actually load the cans, you know, say in Strathmore or wherever, Tabor, things like that. And so they load the cans and it goes to Calgary. And then at Calgary, the ocean freight kicks in, but there is loading and transport prior to Calgary.
Oh, I see.
So basically, before it gets to Calgary, we freight it from a producer to a cleaning facility, clean it, load it into a can, goes to Calgary. Ocean freight takes from Calgary to the coast. It gets translated from at the coast either into a vessel or a 20-footer, and it gets loaded onto the vessel baggage.
Okay. So if you are getting the shipments from the producers in Canada, again, Incoterms doesn't apply here. Incoterms only starts when you load it here in Calgary. Once the final place of destination is the export market. So when your producer from let's say prairies ships to Calgary, it's the internal transportation transaction. It has nothing to do with Incoterms.
But if you as the, so say if it's not the producer that's shipping it, but it's you, so basically you're putting in a container, like as a business, so you're putting in a container and you're transporting it to Calgary. So the container is already loaded. If the producer, you dealt with the producer long before that already, it's not their product, you've loaded it in a can.
And who's the exporter in this case?
Well, say for instance, say in WA. So they've already purchased the product, say in Strathmore, put it in a container, and so then they take and deliver that to Calgary. So there's already been loading, and that's already confirmed.
Yeah, that's fine. Not all of these steps may be applicable.
Yeah.
So if it's already loaded, then you just scratch it, and
Well, but then
it's kind of zero cost to you. But
would that would that just be so that can't be at Calgary then, you're saying? Like would Calgary then be the port technically?
No. Calgary cannot be the port.
Okay. So yeah, I guess what we're wondering is how would we price that out? Because it's
Here's how we do that. So you don't need to load anything, right? Or do you?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
You do.
Purchase
Okay.
from the farmer.
You purchase from the farmer.
Clean and then
Clean.
load it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, clean. Somehow in the process, right? Clean it and then load it. So in this case, it will be either FCA. Or if you, do you arrange the shipment
Well, that's
all the
what
way
we're
to?
wondering. If they
Okay.
take care of the freight all the way from Calgary to say India, that's
Yeah, in this case, it's FCA.
it's FCA. Then?
FCA,
Okay.
yeah.
even though they're loading the can and moving it within Canada to
Yeah.
Calgary.
Yeah. Because whatever happens, all the shippings and transformations before the final product is destined to the export market, everything before that doesn't matter.
So prior to the export market beginning, I guess, is what
Mhm.
you're saying. So
Yeah.
everything they're doing prior to the
Yeah,
export market
exactly.
transaction beginning, so everything else, I
Mhm.
guess, is domestic in a way.
Right.
Once it arrives in
Exactly.
Calgary, that's the
Exactly.
export beginning.
Exactly. I brought a book to show you. So this is the official guide of Incoterms. I strongly recommend to buy this book. It's about 40 or 50 bucks on Amazon. Every term is described in detail, and there are also multiple tips and a very detailed explanation why FOB and CIF should not be used in domestic transactions. So if you are serious about using Incoterms and trading internationally, spend 50 bucks and get it. And educate them. Yeah, just say Incoterms 2010 ICC International Chamber of Commerce guide.
And that's 4 years more.
Hmm?
4 years.
Actually,
2020.
Up to this framework will be up to the end of 2020.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about five more.
You said domestic for freight on board, but that, it's more than that, it's the States too, right?
Yeah, in the States too. Within the States, they also use freight on board term. Yes. But
They
this is
shouldn't
only
be.
for no. Using this for domestic is okay, but using it for international transaction is not okay. I see that all the time. That Americans quote FOB for Canadians.
But isn't freight on board used incorrectly then domestically?
Yeah.
You're saying it's okay
No, no.
to use it in Canada, but they're using, like, lots of guys are saying
Right.
FOB picked up in the farmer's yard.
Which in international terms it's CXW. In terms of Incoterms, it's CXW.
Right.
Here's my farm. Here's the product. Pick it up.
But then using FOB picked up at the farm is incorrect because isn't that not freight on board? Like, is that not what FOB refers to?
It depends on the purpose of the use. If the purpose of the use is internal, let's say internal Canadian or internal United States. So if you pick up the products on the farm and move them to Calgary, that's okay because it's internal transaction. So everything that is that people are used to internally is fine. And if there's a dispute, then the judge will look into those custom rules.
What is, I mean, does not freight, I mean, FOB doesn't mean freight on board, it's
No.
free on board?
Free on board, yeah, and it's only for ocean.
So basically, FCA or EXW are the equivalent of FOB, like domestically, like.
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
A question.
Yeah, I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to accept.
In your experience, what's the best way to negotiate these Incoterms?
In my experience, of course, as exporters, you may want to either go with EXW or FCA.
Because the cost of the product, right?
It's not really about the product cost, it's about your convenience because you are not the one who should be, who should be spending time doing this and arranging this. But sometimes what may happen is that you may be asked by the consumer, by the customer to at least deliver the products to the port, and you still have to be responsible for local transportation. So it's a matter of negotiations, really. Again, as exporters, you want to stick to either of two.
It could be a business to have benefit from the carriers too. No?
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a good relationship with your carrier, then you may offer additional service and arrange the transportation right away. Keep in mind though that again, the buyer will in the end pay you everything. It's a matter of convenience and who is involved first in the arrangement. Because at some point you have to spend some money and say book the freight, right? And nobody has paid to you yet. So you have to trust the buyer or ask the buyer to pay you some money upfront. But again, Incoterms has nothing to do with payment terms and the sequence of payments. So this is something that is outside Incoterms.
But I don't want to be confused with, I mean, this is just for transporting, but for example, on EXW, let's say I still end up loading the product. In theory, the buyer is paying me to do that, right?
Yes, exactly. The buyer will pay you for whatever term you choose. The
Right.
buyer will in the end pay for it. The point of Incoterms is a matter of your convenience and a matter of sequence. Who's the first party in the transaction? Who is arranging, say, the loading, the transportation, the insurance, and stuff like that?
So on EXW terms, let's say I'm loading it for them because that was part of the price.
And this is FCA.
Right.
Yeah, because those two may not apply to you.
How would